dishonesty in the United Kingdom, there is theft, there is corruption. There is absolutely no question about that. You know, I can quote you many anecdotes, but suffice to say that the global vice president of Skanska, a colossal Swedish construction company that has very big interests here, looked me in the eye and he said, "Graham," he said, "I know from my personal experience that there is corruption in the Swedish construction sector." If he's prepared to say that about Sweden, I'm certainly not going to say that the United Kingdom is better.
David, you represent businesses large and small. Where do you think they're up to? Are they up to speed?
Well, I think they're up to speed at all yet. I think if you went around any industrial estate with companies there that were exporting all over the globe, and you asked them about the Bribery Act, I think it would be very hard to find a business that was actually aware that this was coming up.
This is the usual argument that I hear, which is, I'm sorry to say, but each time I come to a country, they're all convinced that they are the best, all the others are cheating. You know, the US companies are convinced that all the Europeans are cheating. The European companies are convinced that the US are using all sorts of devices to continue to bribe us.
What are the sectors most likely to be affected in the short term by the new act?
It's difficult to say all of them, but I think you've seen case examples both out of the US and the UK that probably shed some light on the issue. It tends to be, you know, defense sector obviously has its challenges, you know, energy and natural resources given where carbon sits and where you have to go out to extract that. You know, pharmaceutical industry is another one that has historically been in that sort of list, and construction and engineering another because of infrastructure contracts and government interaction and those sorts of things. But I think the question is really, maybe I'm taking your question another way, but the question is really what are the ones that you don't normally think of, and I think especially given the setting where we're at today, maybe financial services is one that doesn't always get that same level of attention.
If you outsource to the Asian subcontinent, then those people in the Asian subcontinent are your service providers, and if they bribe in the course of your business, in the course of providing you with a service, then you are exposed as a company, save to the extent that you've got adequate procedures, which means really that you've got to roll out a compliance standard not just across your organisation, but you've got to roll it out through your service providers, your consultants, your joint venture partners.
We have no appetite, for the right reasons, to go into a wide market and start making a nuisance of ourselves, and we won't do that. So I think what we will have to focus on with very limited resources is the most serious cases, the most serious apparent breaches that ultimately one day a jury would look at and frown upon.
The fact of the matter is the act will cut a lot of people by challenge. I won't stand up and say they are fully ready for it. I think even though the enlightened people in the legal profession are yet to unbundle what the consequences and what needs to be done. Some of the members who had issues in the past, you know, who are members of the Anti-Corruption Forum, have a process in place. But I think it's fair to say majority, both small and large, are still facing with the challenge to understand what is the consequences, even just the mere definition of what it is. And the protocol that needs to be put in place is a real challenge for the industry.
And in some ways, SMEs are more disadvantaged by this law than larger businesses. That's not the government's intention. The government anticipated that it was looking at large-scale international public interest contracts, and their mindset is that SMEs are unlikely to be involved in those areas of business. I don't think that's quite true.
The message to business I would give is actually you've got to embrace the Act. And you've got to have a plan really led from the board level down as to how to comply with the Act, because that is going to be the way to preserve the value of your business. Because if you don't comply with the Act, not only will you risk very large fines, and the fines in the UK, the courts have said, should be much higher, but also you may well have trouble selling your business when you want to, because now it is on the agenda when you're acquiring a business is what is its compliance like? Does it carry a hidden bribery risk?